ladies and gents, or afternoon, morning, whatever it is where you are. Welcome to another instalment of All the Gear, Some Idea. Another episode on George's Mondial 125 today. George has got a few bits to fit to it, so I'm going to play cameraman today, and George is going to crack on, and we're going to commentate on what he's doing as he's doing it.
Yeah, thanks.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh yeah. Lee's here today.
Yeah.
He's not at work.
No. Yeah, I'm actually here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a busy day, busy week at work this week. As you've been for a change. Hi, Winnie. Come here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we're doing the cam chain tensioner.
yeah,
So
a lot of very vital work that goes into that.
well, there's a reason behind it. If you watch the previous videos we've got on the bike, you'll see the engine will be removed out of the the original engine had been snapped a little tooth off. So preventative maintenance, change tensioner. It's not overly expensive, and they are common to fail. I might try and put a new one in. Yeah.
This is Winnie.
Hello, Winnie. So yeah, let's do a cam chain.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Right, so we've got the service manual for the engine on how to do repairs on the engine. So like to do the timing chain, looking at that, we don't need the timing chain to be done anymore, hopefully, we'll find out in a sec. But we do now know how you meant to time the engine up properly, so we're going to go through it now and show you how you can sort of do it at home, including checking and changing the tensioner. Obviously not all bikes are going to be the same, but as long as you follow a service manual, you should be able to get by pretty quick. It shouldn't take long to check this, so take the seat out, and then as you can see this trim here is damaged, so we are going to be replacing that trim. I think I've mentioned in a previous video how to do that. So if we remove this, like I say in a previous video, you'll see why I want to change this tensioner, as it failed on the last engine. Yeah, so if you go back, have a little look for our videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. So now we need to put the engine to TDC, which is top dead centre. You can pull the core pack out. I believe we already have the right equipment out to get this out. Yeah. Just loosen the spark plug off. Of course, those three are now loose, and there's four, so there's another one around here. Get in the hole. There we go, so they're all now loose. One thing to look out for is the gasket that sits underneath this cover. You don't want it to get pinched or anything like that as you go to put it back in, or when you pull it off, make sure it doesn't get broken. There is another video of somebody else doing this online. Obviously nothing against anyone else putting videos out, but the way he did it, I don't feel comfortable with doing. So the way he did it was just by taking it out, which is fine. But when it goes wrong, you'd be wishing you did it a different way, and probably the same way the manufacturer of the engine recommends. Cool. So the foil bolts that hold that on are 5mm Allen keys. Cool, there we go. Right, so that's off. So this is the seal that we're talking about. Make sure that it's still in one piece. So we are going to be reusing this seal as it looks pretty good. Just got to make sure you don't lose the seal that goes onto the spark plug. Just going to put that on there for safekeeping for the minute. And then what you've got is, see this hole just here, and then one at the front as well. They are your timing locators for some pins that are probably quite expensive from Aprilia or Mondial or Piaggio, however you say the name. So that's a spark plug out, so that's how we can make sure we're getting to TDC. On this side of the engine, you've got two bungs. As you can see, you've got two bungs. You've got the top one here, and this is where the timing mark is going to be. And then this one here is a turn engine over. Get a little pot, just in case we lose some oil. And some rag. There we go. So in the top one is where our time mark's going to be, and this is how we're going to turn the engine over in there. I don't know what size it actually is. I'll do it. It's the little pin. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little round dot.
Yeah.
I was getting carried away there. It's the little round dot.
You see there's that dot on the wheel, which is the wheel that goes around the stator. It's almost like a flywheel. It's got magnets on it.
Yeah. So.
And then there's the pin on the casing, which that is lined up dead on with.
Yeah. And by putting this extension up here, means we know it's now at TDC.
And looking down into those holes above the cams, you can see that it's ready for an implement to be inserted.
6mm.
To lock those cams off. As George said earlier, this is exactly the way that the Mondial and Aprilia manual tells you to do this job. You could risk it if you wanted to, or we wouldn't advise it by just pulling the tensioner out, hoping it doesn't jump. You'll soon know if it does jump, because you'll hear the teeth when the chains skip, or if you don't hear them and you decide to go completely blind into it, you might turn your engine over, it won't run. You might turn your engine over, it might lock up where the timing's gone out that badly. So doing it this way, you can just be sure that everything is lined up where it should be. Nothing's going to move once the tensioner is pulled out. You put your new tensioner in, take everything apart, and it's all going to be hunky-dory. Gotta say, it's unbelievably clean inside this engine.
I could lie to you.
It's smaller.
You lied to me.
There is said tensioner that George will be replacing imminently.
So, I'm not sure what size this is. It's either a 5 or a 6mm head on there. These are actually from the old engine, but they actually fit in there perfect. So they go down into little like dowels that are inside the cams. That in turn then locks off this cam and that cam. The bottom won't be locked, but obviously we can check that it's still at TDC once we've changed the tensioner. They have a tool number that is specifically for the job we're doing. However, they're a lot of money and not worth spending the money when you can make something out of it.
Make, do, amend.
That's it. save yourself some money essentially by not going out and spend hundreds of some extra tools that you're going to use once, sort of thing. So now we can remove this tensioner. So what we were told in the manual is once you've done this, you're then supposed to remove the starter motor to get this out. However, you don't need to do that. All you have to do is remove this here. So that's where your spring sits, which is inside this part here. Just be careful when you're pulling it out, because the spring's going to push against my hand. I'm going to pull it out slowly. So in here we've got a spring and a cap. In the end there is a seal. So we're going to undo this one now until it gets to finger tight, and then we're going to do the same with the bottom one. And this is where you need a friend with really small fingers to jimmy out the screw.
Preferably his name would be Jimmy as well.
Well, that'd be handy, wouldn't it? Oh, Jimmy, small fingered Jimmy.
Jimmy Small Fingers.
Jimmy Small Fingers. Okay, so that's now fallen out, so I'm going to pull that top out. Give that a little wiggle round, and there we go. Oh, okay, cool. So what this actually means is actually good news for me. Is essentially what happens inside of here is the chain is being pushed by this tensioner. Now the further out this tensioner is, the more stretched your chain is. So if you can see on here, we're only, I think, 2 notches in on that tensioner. We've not touched this yet. This is how it's come out, which means that's how it's been tensioned up.
So pretty much what we're saying is this engine's done barely any miles, or
it's already had a chain made.
Already had a chain done.
Yeah,
yeah.
because if I pull
quite
this,
well done is there is marks on
there
there.
is, yeah. So if I pull this out, you can hear it clicking, and that's how much travel you can have within that. So we're quite lucky in the respect that it was only, I'd probably say about there, wouldn't it? If not less. Yeah. So that's good. We're you know, this is a good thing for the bike. Probably don't even need to change tensioner. But like I say, go back and watch the other video and you'll see that the end bit in here that actually holds that tensioner in place to stop it from going back was broken. So what that then was doing was just literally floating around.
Which is why we suspect that the other engine failed, because the tensioner was going loose tight whenever there was tension being put on the chain due to the engine, just because of the natural rotation of the engine. Caused the timing chain to jump. Well, it actually fell off, didn't it?
The timing chain fell off the bottom.
The timing chain fell off the bottom of the other engine off the crank, so that's what caused that engine to detonate itself, or the pistons to meet the valves and things to touch that shouldn't touch.
It had a bad day, as we say, but this is a genuine part from Fowler's Motorcycles in Bristol. No association with them, but they do sell quite a lot of motorbike parts. So what we have here is the new tensioner. As you can see, it's quite new, but it looks like they're modified actually.
Really?
Yeah. One uses an O-ring.
The other one got like a ring on the cap.
So the one, this is the older one, and it's got a flat cap, and the O-ring sits on there, and the new one actually comes with a washer.
Wow.
One thing I have also noticed by just looking at them is the quality in the spring itself. So you can see that the spring, although it's in good condition, it's actually,
it almost looks like that new spring is going to push on the chain a bit more
to stop any
than the original one. Yeah.
So clearly it's modified.
And that spring is like, it's quite bent up as well, because it's just come
Obviously
out.
it does only go into that thing, but it's, one, it's shorter, and two, it's all twisted. So as I say, it's genuine.
It's all discombobulated.
It is discombobulated. Genuine parts. Chain tighten device 289919 from, so it's Piaggio, Aprilia, can't see, Gilera, Ape, Derby, Moto Guzzi.
Basically any small Italian motorbike.
Yeah, and like I say, I think it was £35 including postage for all of this, and we obviously got a new seal as well. I didn't think it was worth not doing it in case this one was damaged, but once again that's also changed.
It's just ideal for peace of mind as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now that George is fitting this tensioner, we know that everything on the timing side is going to be bang on. Like, everything lined up perfectly before we took the old tensioner out, so we're not got any issues with chain stretch.
No.
Or anything like that.
No, it should be pretty good, to be fair. So what we're going to do now is they only go on one way. So we're going to put the seal on there, line the bolt up on the bottom because it came out that way, and we're going to just twist that in. Like I said, to make it a little bit easier, you can take the starter motor out, but then you've got to remove the battery and take the starter motor out. And some wiring.
It's just excess pain, isn't it?
At a time that doesn't need to be used up.
Time, I like that.
Yeah. Right, so that one's started. So then we're going to put the top one back in. Make sure we're lined up on that gasket before we start doing anything up.
Do you know what that gasket needs? Sticky back plastic on one side.
Oh yeah, it does, yeah. And you'll know what we're talking about if you watch our previous videos.
Exactly.
So you don't want to go too tight because it is only an alley head. And the last thing I do is taking it off to helicoil it or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
The problem we've got is we can't even use a torque wrench on the bottom one because we've not taken the starter motor off. So it's just
Click, click.
by feel. Obviously, if you're new at this, you won't quite know what feel means. Not the person. You'll after a while you'll start to understand how things should feel. So before I fitted that, what I did do was push the tensioners all the way back in again. So now when I put this spring back in, along with the cap, it should click a couple of times to allow the tensioners to take its tension. So we'll just feed that in there. So obviously it's quite a long spring.
You wouldn't want to go in your eye, would you?
You wouldn't want to go in your eye, no. So now it's just a case of... Oh, you hear that click?
Did indeed. I
Oh.
hope you, alright?
Yeah, it just fell apart.
Oh, okay. We hope you're not having issues hearing what's coming out through the videos. Once we've got a bit more established and sold some of our projects or made a bit of money via maybe some sponsorship or some monetization through YouTube, we will invest in some better microphones so to bring you guys some better quality content. But at the moment we're going to stick with the iPhone because it's working well, and we just found out we can actually record in 4K at 60 frames per second as well. So this is our first video at 4K 60 FPS, so we hope you're enjoying that. For all our technically advanced viewers.
Yeah. So that's in.
So new tensioners in.
Just seeing any wear on this one that would be concerning, but it does work. It's not very strong against it, but I'd imagine that one's a lot stronger now. So that's in with the new tensioner, new seal, new spring.
And George's mind is at complete rest.
It will be now. I don't want to ride it when it's not. It will take the enjoyment out of riding if you're worried about something going wrong the whole time. You just as well do it.
Definitely.
So now we can take our special tools out and put the cam cover back on.
Awesome. Right, we're going to cut it here because everything's going to go back together in reverse order. Might do a little time lapse of that just so in case any of you guys aren't sure as to how it goes back together. But the next time you see us will be make sure she runs.
Yeah.
Say bye.
Bye. Done. That's it.
George has got that touch timing components anxiety now.
Yeah, it is. Don't really want to start it, but and David is going to fuck it up, bleep it up, mess it up.
Right, mate.
Yep.
Don't it sound good?
Sounds a lot better now. Exhaust spoke's fixed.
Yeah.
It sounds better that way anyway.
Yeah.
Not puffing through the front.
Just take a minute to actually appreciate how good this bike looks for a 125. For any bike, for that matter. Like, you could put a bigger engine in that bike, and I'll be happy with it.
What's wrong with being a 125, mate?
Well, nothing. That's what I mean. Awesome looking bike. Don't forget, we've got the competition running. I don't think anyone's won the Milky Bar yet, probably because we haven't posted the other video. But if you correctly guess, or the person who's closest to guessing what George paid for this bike, you will have a Milky Bar coming your way, courtesy of the channel. So yeah. How'd you feel, mate?
Good.
Good. Fucking little bike. So she's got an engine light on at the moment. We still need to look at that. George is waiting for a Fotco reader to come so we can see what that light is on for. We suspect it's a lander issue. Probably just a code in there that needs clearing, but if it's a permanent code that doesn't go, we will be investigating that. I'm sure there'll be another video on that. You'll notice if you eagle-eyed of you, you'll notice that temperature gauge is flashing. That is characteristic of the bike. It's supposed to do that. So when it gets to around 60 degrees,
I have no idea. Yeah, I just know that you're not meant to ride the bike until it stops flashing.
yeah. So it's like a warm-up phase of the engine. That temperature gauge flashes, and then when it starts being solid on that first bar there, that's when the bike's happy for you to ride it, and the gauge stops flashing because the gauge is now reading within its parameters.
We thought it idled a bit high, but after some research, that is when they idle out. So.
Beautiful.
Join us next time, where hopefully we'll be on a ride. He'll be on his big bike. Matt might join us for 2Ts on his big bike, and I'll be there on my small bike for a first ride, I suppose.
You going to sign us off?
Yeah. Well, on that toadstool, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.